What's going on, guys? Seth Forge here, and today I am back with yet another college football prediction video for this week, which is September 28th. On this upcoming Saturday of 2024, we have one of my games of the week with number 2 ranked Georgia going on the road to face off the number 4 ranked Alabama. Now, this game is going to be an epic game, regardless of what happens, because guess what? We are now in the 12-team playoff era, so it still matters no matter what you do when you play against teams, top-tier teams. It'll look great on your resume no matter what happens. And so this game is going to be epic, in my opinion. It's going to be intense, as it always is, because the two teams have great defenses. Though Georgia, I don't know what happened to Georgia, but they could have definitely lost to Kentucky. I don't know why Mark Stoops, or the Kentucky head coach, punted the ball when it was like at the end of the game, when they could have tried to win on 4th and 1. It's 4th and 1. It's crazy. They could have won. Instead, they got 3 and out, and then they tried to do Hail Mary or like a little pitch, just trying to go all the way down to kick field goal, but they didn't. So that was bad. Anyways, as of every video, I like to make a slideshow instead of using ESPN's stat line every single week. I did a slideshow for everything every week. So the game of the week, like I said before, is Georgia versus Alabama. This game is going to be very interesting. Also, hats off to Kalen DeBoer. He's done a great job with Alabama. I thought Alabama wasn't going to be so great this year because they lost a lot of guys from the portal, and they lost a lot of guys from graduation to the draft, and of course Nick Saban retiring, so that was also hit. But hey, they dismantled Wisconsin, and I'm honestly shocked. Okay, so like I said before, location will be at Bryant-Denny Stadium. I don't know what the time is. It could be a night game. I think it may be a 3:30 game. I'll have to look that up after this video. So the location, like I said, is Bryant-Denny Stadium at Alabama, the Crimson Tide. And of course, the last meeting between these two, you think that these two would be in the SEC championship this year, which they could possibly be of this upcoming conference championship game. But since they removed the divisional games, they now have all the conference teams playing each other instead of two sides. With the SEC East and the SEC West, that's no longer a thing. And this is the week number 5, I believe, because they both had 2 byes. And of course, Alabama beat Georgia, knocking out Georgia in the playoffs last year, which is crazy because they were dismantling everybody last year, 27-24. Okay, in week number 4, or week number 3, I think this is week number 5 now, or not number 4. So Georgia went 3-0 and 1-0 against Kentucky, 13-12. Kentucky, they just fumbled the bag in that game. I don't know what was wrong with Georgia. I think also Carson Beck may be hurt with a hand injury. I don't know if that's anything that's relatively huge, but we'll see what happens this Saturday. Of course, Alabama with a just dismantling Wisconsin 42-10. It was like 21-0 in the first quarter. It was just crazy. It could have got worse. It could have got really, really bad. All right, so the matchup predictor has Alabama with a 65.8% over Georgia's 34.2%, mainly because it's at Alabama, and that's a tough environment as well, Georgia's also. And of course, the game odds from ESPN Bet, they have Alabama with a they're the underdogs. Wow, they have Georgia with a minus 2.5 compared to Alabama 2.5 plus. So they are the underdog in this game, which I kind of disagree with. Okay, so I like to do the top 3 players on offense, and I also like to do the top 3 players on defense, and then do the team stats, and then make my final prediction at the end. Of course, as you guys see, quarterback Jalen Milroe has done a great job so far this year. Struggled against South Florida, but then they woke up and played football in the 4th quarter. He's done an excellent job under Kalen DeBoer with 12 completions to 17 attempts, 196 passing yards, averaged about 11.5 per throw, 3 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions against Wisconsin. So he did a great job against the Badgers. Running back, I did a mistypo right there. Jam Miller, he had 9 carries, 71 yards, averaged about 7.9 per carry, 1 touchdown for Jam Miller. And of course, Ryan Williams, who's a 17-year-old, still dominating like always. It's crazy. 4 receptions, 78 receiving yards, 19.5 yards per catch, and 1 touchdown as well. Also, notable notes as well, Milroe had 2 rushing touchdowns, Bernard, wide receiver, had 1 touchdown, and Cavas had 1 touchdown as well for the Alabama Crimson Tide. All right, next we have the Georgia Bulldogs. We have Carson Beck. This game was weird because, I did not expect Georgia to struggle against Kentucky. They went 15 for 24, completions to attempts, had 160 passing yards, averaged about 6.7 per throw, 0 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. And, of course, running back Trevor Etienne, who transferred from Florida, I think last year, 2 years ago, he had 19 carries, 79 rushing yards, had 4.2 yards average, and 0 touchdowns. Wide receiver Dominic Lovett had 6 receptions, 89 yards, averaged about 14.8 per catch, and 0 touchdowns. And, of course, the notable touchdown was Branson Robinson, who was a running back, had 1 touchdown late in the game, I believe. All right, so the top 3 players on defense, we have linebacker Jihad Campbell, had 8 total tackles and 4 solo tackles. We had linebacker Deontay Lawson, had 7 total tackles, 4 solo, and 1 pass deflection. We had a defensive back Malachi Moore, 7 total tackles, 4 solo, and 0.5, or I guess you can say a half tackle for loss, probably assisted tackle. All right, so if we have the top 3 defensive players for Georgia, we have Dalen Everett with 8 total tackles, 6 solo. We have defensive back Malachi Starks with 8 total tackles, 4 solo. We have Chaz Chambliss, a linebacker, who has 8 total tackles and 4 solo. So there are your players of the week for the previous game that they both played for Alabama and for Georgia. And, of course, the full team stats. I don't know if you guys can see that. Georgia gave up about 284 total yards. They gave up about 114 yards per or just on offense for passing. Not too bad at all. Rushing, they gave up 170, so that is going to be a key issue maybe for Georgia, but still they only allowed 284 total yards, so that's really, really good for them. And, of course, Kentucky had more possession, about 35 minutes compared to Georgia's 24, and they definitely should have won that game because they blew it at the end. So we have Alabama. Alabama just dismantled they dismantled Wisconsin this whole game. They only allowed 290 total yards. They only allowed 141 passing yards, and they only allowed 149 rushing. They just stopped them. They couldn't, Wisconsin could not do anything at all against Alabama. So yeah, and of course Wisconsin had more possession to Alabama, but Alabama was just already had a high scoring game. So of course they would have more possession because they were trying to score. So yeah. All right, so for my final prediction, I know a lot of Georgia fans will probably talk a lot of smack or roast me on this comment section. I'm not an Alabama fan, nor I'm not a Georgia fan, but Georgia has kind of been going up and down lately. I think Carson Beck may be hurt, I think also. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Alabama has just been on a tear lately, and of course, it's going to be tough playing in a Bryant-Denny Stadium, so I'm going to go with minus 10 points as the favorites to win, and of course, may score over 10 points against Georgia. Who knows? I could be totally wrong. I could be laughing stock right now, and Georgia would beat Alabama, and anything could happen. This could be like a revenge game for Georgia because they they want revenge after that chaos that happened last year when they were bounced out of the playoffs. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a great rest of the night, and Seth Wojcik here, and peace out.